In 1956, a ship carried 58 boxes across the Atlantic. Everyone said it would change everything. They had no idea how. The conventional story goes like this. Before the shipping container, cargo was a nightmare. Longshoremen hand-loaded everything, crates, barrels, sacks, into ship holds like a three-dimensional puzzle. It took weeks to unload a single vessel. Then came the container, a standardized metal box. Suddenly, one crane could move dozens of boxes per hour. Costs collapsed. Global trade exploded. The container liberated the world. And here's the trick, that story is almost entirely true, but it's also missing the real economic earthquake. McLean, a trucking entrepreneur, didn't invent the container to be generous. He was hemorrhaging money on the New York docks. Every time his trucks arrived, they sat idle for days while stevedores unloaded cargo piece by piece. His labor costs were eating him alive. So in 1956, he loaded 58 containers onto the SS Ideal X and sailed from Newark to Houston. The voyage worked. But here's what actually mattered. The cost per container dropped from $5.86 to $0.16. That's not optimization, that's economic demolition. Everyone celebrated the speed, but the real money moved somewhere else. Before containers, shipping was fragmented, thousands of small operators, each with their own routes, their own labor agreements. The container standardized everything. Within a decade, that fragmentation was gone. Shipping became capital-intensive, not labor-intensive. One company could now move 10,000 containers where it once took 50 smaller firms to move 100. The money didn't spread wider, it concentrated. Here's where we dismantle the myth. The container didn't just lower costs for everyone equally, it shifted power. Shippers who could afford to build container terminals, massive infrastructure dominated. Smaller ports died. Longshoremen lost jobs by the thousands. Wages for remaining dock workers actually stagnated for decades despite the container's efficiency gains. The wealth flowed upward, to shipping lines, to terminal operators, to manufacturers who could now source globally. The container made the world smaller, but it made wealth distribution sharper. Real impact: manufacturing moved. Because containers made long-distance shipping cheap, factories no longer needed to be near markets. A company could build in Taiwan container goods to New York for pennies relative to old costs. By the 1970s, globalization wasn't an idea, it was logistics. The container didn't cause deindustrialization, but it made it economically rational. The money followed containers across oceans. Local factories closed. Global supply chains opened. By 2020, over 90% of non-bulk cargo moved in containers. A single megaship carries 20,000 containers. The cost per container is now under a penny for the move itself. That efficiency is real, but follow the cash. It went to enormous integrated logistics firms, to nations with deepwater ports, to tech companies that track containers via satellite. The container democratized access to global markets, but it consolidated control of those markets. The container is one of history's most invisible revolutions. It didn't invent globalization, but it made globalization inevitable. It lowered costs, yes, but it also lowered barriers to scale. It let the biggest players get bigger faster. That's not a flaw in the system. That's how it was designed to work. And the economic consequences, the factories that closed, the wages that stagnated, the wealth that concentrated, those weren't side effects. They were outputs. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden economics of how the world actually works. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research.